Cosmos, Komodachi, and then Mirth was an Ace Attorney, Friday Night Funkin, and then Five Nights at Freddy's content creator who created animatics surrounding those series to an audience of around 100,000 to now 200,000 subscribers. During 2021, I and many other content creators called out Komodachi for allegations that they had allegedly attempted to date a 13-year-old fan at the age of 18, while exploiting this power dynamic to convince the minor that this relationship was okay. While nothing explicit occurred during this relationship, as seemingly Komodachi believed that was the only situation in which they could get in trouble, this relationship ended after a day when one of the staff members in Komodachi's server brought attention to it and the whole world came collapsing around Komodachi.
As a moderator of the Discord server, I agree and was witness to everything stated. It all started with a ping from an admin who showed off that Kodo, who is 18, was going to date a 13-year-old at the time. I won't name names, but essentially this did not float well with the server. Kodo was displeased to see this and began to take action. As soon as everyone was told of Kodo's antics, Kodo's ex Zoe, who had supposedly done similar things, was brought back into the server and the admin was immediately banned. Essentially, Kodo banned the admin who spoke out for emotionally manipulating them and brought Zoe back whilst downplaying the previous situation. Not only that, but Kodo also kicked people out of the server who spoke out against them, or called them a file. The server became split in a chaotic mess. On one hand, people tried to give Kodo forgiveness for the mistake, whilst others were understandably pissed off. The chaos kept going as Kodo began to defend the relationship with the minor in question. It was awful. People immediately saw that Kodo was downplaying the situation,
with Komodachi going as far as to say they saw nothing wrong with them, an 18-year-old, dating a 13-year-old. I don't think you could get a bigger red flag, but maybe I'm the weird one. With them saying this was perfectly okay and remaining friends with the minor. Due to Komodachi's channel being marketed towards children and games with a large audience of children, people saw them as unsafe to be around a community of fans they were willing to date, despite those fans being underage, which led me to making several videos on Komodachi during and around the month of May 2021. My second video would discuss a stream Komodachi did, in which a person called Zoe would speak for them and defend them on their actions, with Komodachi only infrequently stepping in to state varied defenses of themselves and their actions. Me and Nornie would then get in a group chat with Komodachi in which we would discuss these allegations and try to get the truth behind Komodachi's actions. After some questioning from me, Komodachi would admit within this group chat that unlike when they previously stated this was okay and they previously saw nothing wrong with it, that they had completely lied, that they knew there was something wrong with this behavior, but they didn't know the consequences of these actions, with them choosing to seemingly defend this behavior because they couldn't stop themselves from doing it. And if you didn't see those previous videos I made, you should probably click the big red subscribe button down below, click it, press it, I'll give you a free chocolate through Lovecraftian witchcraft reproduction magic, I don't know. Thanks for the free clout. Komodachi would make several community posts defending this behavior, past the point of talking to me, and flip-flopping on the opinion they'd presented towards me and the admission they'd given to me, saying the child could have ended the relationship at any time in private chats, which obviously led to more backlash, before they would inevitably privatize 26 million views worth of content and disappear from their channel. Evidence would be exposed past this point that this was not the only time Komodachi had dated a minor, with evidence coming forward that there was another 13-year-old Komodachi had dated, showing a pattern of behavior. DMs would be published that Komodachi, known at that point as Cosmos, an Ace Attorney content creator, had dated a 13-year-old boy in 2020, with, once again, seemingly nothing sexual occurring due to their justification that nothing's bad with this as long as nothing sexual occurred, which obviously conflates legality and morality, and I think most people can agree an 18-year-old dating a 13-year-old is wrong whether there is any sexual acts occurring, with parties confirming to Red Knight, another content creator, that Cosmos had used the fact that they hadn't done anything sexual as a defense to excuse this behavior, which obviously made Komodachi look really bad considering they'd played dumb in this situation in modern day and argued that they didn't know what was wrong with this behavior in their current allegations when they'd been called out for this in the past. I also don't think I should have to state how ironic it is that on their second time dating a 13-year-old, they'd told me they didn't want to repeat this behavior because they already had. Komodachi, I can't even believe I need to say this, responded to this allegation with the defense that they were 17 at the time, as if that changed anything that they were a year younger than they were when they dated this second 13-year-old. It's still a 4-year age gap. I, as a 17-year-old, wouldn't date a 13-year-old. Okay, that's common sense. That's rational, reasonable common sense. That it's wrong to have a 4-year age gap between you and a minor. Is that a hot take? apparently in modern day. In September of 2021 though, Komodachi would return from their previous disappearance from the internet as Mirth and create a video titled Breaking the Promise, where they would retract their prior retirement from YouTube and defend their actions, saying their relationship was okay because both them and the 13-year-old were teenagers, that their controversy was controlled by cancel culture, and in a following community post explained that they had trauma from their mother's death as a young age, which meant that they'd wrongfully accepted backlash for dating this 13-year-old. You should have just accepted the backlash. Why would you make a response like this that's so easy to tear apart? Mirth's channel, shockingly, would explode once again after they released a video titled You Need to Vent, Gregory, based on Five Nights at Freddy's, which would garner 500,000 views in less than a day. With this new fanbase unaware of Mirth's past due to filtered comments and put in potential danger considering the young demographic this content tailors itself towards, Toastify, a colleague of mine, in March of 2022, would release a video explaining the full story behind Komodachi, Cosmos, or Mirth, depending on which name you prefer, explaining the entire situation to their newfound audience, which would garner 300,000 views. This video would also spread awareness on the actions of Zoe, the person who defended Mirth in the livestream I previously mentioned, and a former ex of Komodachi, who had allegedly reached out to several servers who pushed the blame on one of Komodachi's victims, saying it was their fault. That is, according to the victim anyways. And later asked a 14-year-old 1 week before their birthday for explicit images a week before Zoe would turn 17.
Well, Zoe would kinda guilt trip me so he would get any art from me. He'd use his emotions to degrade my mental health. Zoe tends to joke around in a sexual way. There's a time when me and Shannon were both comfortable, but we had no choice but to go on with it. Zoe would force me and Shannon to go on a break to self-reflect. It never works out because me and Shannon didn't like it in the first place and had the thought of running away from Zoe and Mirth. Zoe had traumatized me when it comes to serious VCs. That I get to shake and tear up when he ever asked me to join in a VC to talk about something serious, and how it's most about my mental health, and how it's affecting them whilst they kept existing, staying and trying to help. It had gone to the point where there's a time where Zoe had to manipulate Shannon and Mirth to go against me, because they think I'm a manipulator and I'm just using them as shields. That's kind of all I remember.
Probably not the best person to defend Mirth's case, but I digress. Following Toastify's video, Mirth would release a response. This response would argue the actions they committed were caused by growing up on the toxic side of the internet and that they had to face the consequences of their own toxicity. Conveniently, they don't mention any of the allegations within this thread and say that they've taken accountability for what they did. Now, I'd refer to toxicity as something akin to a Turkey Tom tweet where he calls his fans kittens. Not dating minors, but to each their own, I suppose. They state in this response that they couldn't control their actions in the past. This is very troubling. Someone who cannot control their actions around minors is someone I wouldn't trust around minors. I know, crazy hot take here. Unsurprisingly, following Toastify's video, which brought newfound attention to Mirth's actions, they would once again attempt to jump ship. How long do you think it'll take for them to change their name again? Your guess is as good as mine. They would craft an unimaginably blatant community post with insipid intentions seeping through the thread that read, I'm bored of FNAF content. Guess my Friday Night Funkin phase is over, gang. Don't worry, I'll still draw the FNAF request from the previous community post. Expect Kirby, TF2, and whatever else I can offer. Once again, opting to run from any accountability for their actions in what is a frequent cycle of consistent rebranding as the flames of their actions continue to rise beneath them. As of now, Mirth is working with a Friday Night Funkin mod team made up of largely minors who have vehemently defended Komodachi's actions, as they are apparently a better person. I wouldn't say I got that sign from their community post, but whatever, I suppose. And they showed that Mirth is now seemingly apparently using alternate names to avoid knowledge of their controversy, which is obviously a shocking and concerning revelation. But I would like to make one thing clear before I end this video. This video isn't intended to ruin Mirth's life. As has been previously stated, nothing sexual occurred in these relationships, and while I do believe they should be separated from their online platform and distanced from any minors, for as long as they remain a risk to their community of largely minors, as that likely won't happen, this video is simply only here to spread awareness. You may be way less willing to forgive Komodachi, and you're perfectly within your rights to. This is obviously my own opinion, but with that being said, thanks for sticking to the end of this video. I appreciate all of the support on this channel. Feel free to share this video to continue spreading awareness around Komodachi's actions to their new audience. Please don't harass anyone mentioned within this video, and red button, click, subscribe, 100k soon. Big smooch. Thanks. Bye.
Says she wanna rock with a nigga like me. I'm a stylish guy. Spend a little guap with a nigga like me. We can catch a fly. Says she wanna rock with a nigga like me.